Are we on the record?
Not yet. He hasn't told us.
No, we're not live, but we won't be on the record till.
All right, good, thank you. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the January 18, 2022 meeting of the Orange Town Plan and Zoning Commission. I am Commissioner Ozzie Parenti. Let's take a minute to introduce ourselves at the table here.
Tamara Trantalis, Administrative Assistant.
Tom Tarenti.
Kevin Cornell.
Judy Smith.
Jack Demerjen, Zoning Administrator.
Great, thank you. Before we get to our agenda this evening, I just wanted to take a minute and extend condolences to Judy on the passing of her father, Walter Bud Smith. Very sad, yeah, and such a nice man, and very smart, very funny, always a gentleman, and you know, we're certainly going to miss him. It's always fun to run into Bud and get to spend 10 minutes with him, chatting a little bit. He always made me laugh, so.
You sure did.
Very sorry, Judy.
Thank you, Oz.
All right. First order of business then is a review of the minutes from the January 4, 2022 meeting. I was absent for that meeting, so I will abstain on the vote. Does anybody have comments on the minutes?
I heard it was very efficiently run.
I heard it was a brilliantly run meeting.
I had no changes.
All right. Oh, I should say that Commissioner Kaplan won't be with us tonight. He's out ill. So it'll be just the four of us. Anything? Nothing?
Nope, I can make a motion that
All
we
right, let's-
approve the minutes from the January 4th, 2022 meeting.
We have a motion. Somebody prepared to second it?
Second.
Motion's been seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And Tammy, I abstain. All right, next item on the agenda is old business. Does anyone have anything under that topic they wish to bring up this evening? I just have one question, Jack. Did you hear anything on the firelight?
Other than they're hoping to get started soon, I haven't heard much.
Okay.
I'll check with the building
Nothing
department, though.
definitive?
No, nothing to.
All right. Sort of anxious for that to get
I'll
rolling.
look into that and get a update for next meeting.
Okay. Other projects that are, well, I'll wait till you get to your report. All right, under new business, the agenda item is to consider an act on scheduling a public hearing to amend sections 383-33, 41D, 42F, 49D, 50G, and 143.4 of the Orange zoning regulations to conform to recently enacted state law. Do you want to?
Sure. Yeah, this is the law directly related to outdoor dining. This is going to be the first one out of the many that we received that goes into effect on April 1st. So I figured this is the one that maybe we would address as, you know, it's fairly simple. There's no opt-out option. There's just quite a few sections of the regulations that pertain to outdoor dining that we have to amend to obviously fit the new rules. We do have one application that was coming through, so again, I figured sooner would be better than later. Looking for outdoor dining. I don't think the applicant is quite sure when they're going to go through. I know they just got their wetlands approval. Not quite sure when they're going to come through zoning. But again, pretty straightforward. Just these are the sections that we're going to have to take a look at to conform. And if anybody has anything else, I know I did miss one section on here that I found later today when I was going over my work. But other than that, I think these are pretty much all the sections that directly relate to outdoor dining. Seating, I should say.
Other than a normal notice procedure for a text amendment, is there anything else we have to do?
No, nothing special. This one does not have to go to the Board of Selectmen like our other opt-out options do. So this is a very general regulation change. The only thing I do want to make sure when I'm working with the attorneys and writing up the new language is making it clear that while outdoor seating is now a permitted use as of right, the need for a site plan is obviously still there if they need to build a structure or a patio or anything like that. So I just want to make sure the new language reflects that, but pretty standard.
So
It's
really,
a permitted use, but there's still a site plan process.
Right. You no longer need a special permit, but you still have to adhere to any site plan regulations.
Okay.
so of the sections I just cited, it's really 143.4 that's the substantive.
143.4?
383, 143.4.
Oh, yes, that is the section of the special permit regulations that pertains to your criteria for a special use permit.
Special standards for outdoor restaurants.
Exactly. But these other sections that I listed here are the ones that we are going to have to either omit language
Right.
and add it there. So we're going to be amending all of these sections, but 143.4 is the only one that's going to be essentially completely omitted.
Completely what?
Omitted.
Omitted?
Yeah, because it's the special use criteria for outdoor seating, which we are no longer going to be able to regulate. Actually, now that I'm thinking about it, we do allow outdoor seating for cigar shops. So maybe not completely crossed out, but we can no longer regulate food establishments like that.
What I understood you to be looking for, or us to want to be doing, is amending 143.4 to bring it in line with state law. So to the extent there's language in there or there are requirements there that are violative of the new state law, we would have to make changes. But there's a lot of what's in the special standards that I think is important. Their health, safety
Right.
issues. So for example, outdoor dining seating shall not obstruct any entries, exits, permitted signs, utilities. I think, I wouldn't want that to go away.
So, Oz, why wouldn't, instead of outdoor restaurant seating being under 383.50 special uses, put it under permitted uses in the zones where it's allowed, and
Yeah.
then just go subject to the special standards
Yeah.
and get this out of the special uses?
Yeah.
Just call it special standards.
Whatever. I mean, that's
Got it.
that's what I'm getting to. I mean, I don't want to throw the baby out with the bathwater here.
Right.
There's a lot of,
You want health and safety criteria to remain.
Understood,
But the
yep.
use to be
Yeah.
permitted as of right.
Outdoor patron seating area must be protected from vehicular traffic.
Sounds like a good idea.
I don't want that to, I don't want that to go away.
Understood, yeah, I'll,
Now,
that one,
I understand that now, you can't have the full-blown site plan approval process that's required. It's done administratively, still with a site plan,
still, right.
but dealt with administratively, as opposed to a public hearing on a site plan, on a special use permit. So that, I can see there's things in subsection B that need to change, and maybe in other places. One of the things we have here is approved outdoor dining seating will be allowed from April 1 through November 15th. And it occurs to me, if somebody wants to sit out there in December and they want to serve them, what's the difference? The better thing to regulate might be time of operation, not past 9 o'clock. And I
Right.
think the state law allows that.
Yes, until 9, I believe.
I thought they said
You wrote 9
9 or later.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I think it is 9 or later.
Well, we have to comply with that.
An establishment where alcohol is served, the outdoor patron seating area must be surrounded by a fence or wall with a minimum height of 4 feet. Again, something we would,
Right, now,
Want to keep
I
in
understand
play.
what you're saying, where obviously the safety and layout restrictions should still be there. But obviously they don't, can offer it until 9 PM or later, yes.
yeah.
Yep,
Well, so can is permissive, so if we have if we want it to be 9 o'clock, it can be 9 o'clock, but, I mean, I'm getting old, so, got it. I'm getting old, so 9 o'clock is fine for me to have dinner, but that may not be a reasonable end time for the rest
Right.
of humanity.
No, I'm not saying that, you know, I'm just, to me, the time of operation is a better consideration for us than
Then,
the dates.
understood. I'll write that down too.
So, I mean, whether it's 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock, I mean,
Well, why wouldn't it just be until their kitchen closes?
yeah, or the restaurant closes.
Yeah, there you go.
Whatever.
Like,
Yeah.
say kitchen, because the bar might stay open till 2. They might shut down
Yeah.
the restaurant at 11.
Yeah, then we wouldn't want people on the patio drinking. I don't know, I mean,
In December?
I'll sit down with Vin and kind of go through this section specifically and see what we can keep, what we can't, and what should be.
I think other than subsection B, you can pretty much keep everything else in place. And I don't see why we wouldn't, you know, we spent a lot of time drafting those special standards, and I think they make good sense, you know?
Yeah, they just can't show up under special permit requirements.
Right.
Right.
Understood.
But it doesn't, you know, it's all a guide for you when you're presented with a site plan. You know, those are the considerations you're gonna
Absolutely.
be thinking about when you're, you know, approving or not approving administratively somebody's site plan. And even subsection B, I think a lot of that can stay, you know? The site plan must also show the number and location of all tables and seats that will be provided. I think that's probably something that we still want to see. I mean, otherwise, how do we assess the adequacy of parking? and-
Safety.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think really in subsection B, it's just that first sentence that might have to be changed.
yeah.
Yeah, we could definitely take a look. And obviously,
And A, outdoor dining seating shall be allowed by special permit. That's got to come out.
right.
So what are you're looking for, what are you looking for from us, just to
Nothing
give
tonight.
you the
I-
go-ahead to
to
start
drafting
some
that
changes?
language, yeah. I sat down with Vinny and kind of had him put together that handout that I emailed everybody.
Yeah,
Just because, again, time does go. I know we have a full year for a lot of this stuff, but I'd rather handle it sooner rather than
Right.
later. Not that we're in any big rush. But, you know, I sat down with him and said, we're going to start doing all of this, and because this is the first one that has a deadline of April 1st, I just wanted us to be able to put something on the agenda to start
Yeah.
having these conversations, which I'm really going to do for every single one. You know, new business to consider an act. You know, we're not going right into public hearings, obviously, but just to get this discussion going. And if we do get, you know, feedback in the meantime, then obviously we can take that into consideration.
all right. And again, just so I make sure I understand correctly, the other sections of the regulations that are referenced on the agenda, those are more just referring to these special standards. There's nothing substantive that's going to change.
Correct. It's the same language for pretty
Yeah.
much every section of permit. We're going to add it to the permitted uses as of right and take it away from the special uses.
So again, it's 143.4 that you're really going to have to work
Correct,
with.
yeah. I was just trying to be thorough.
All right, so I guess we could get to this pretty quickly. I mean, if you can get a draft, you know, with some track changes,
Got it.
then maybe we could put it on our agenda for another discussion before we get to a point where we have something definitive that you can then notice
In a public hearing.
in a
Yep,
public hearing scenario.
understood.
Do we still have the ability to have the annual renewal of the permit, or does that go away with the new state law? That's in section B, towards the end. That might have to come out. An annual renewal of the permit will be required
Judy, it wouldn't make sense if,
if it's a permitted use.
Yeah,
Right, so
as
that's
right.
gotta go.
I think
no,
that
no,
would-
no, I think it doesn't make sense to take it out, because what if someone's, well,
That's,
if somebody's not
Copyright.
complying with the regulation, then they're always subject to your cease and desist order.
Right, there would have to be something
So it doesn't,
site plan wise that they're not doing correctly, because again, they don't have to obtain a special permit. So,
Right.
an annual renewal of the permit would now be a site plan permit.
yeah.
So they would have to, I'll look into that, I'm
Yeah,
not quite sure
I
what
just-
what the answer is.
I
Because an
don't-
annual renewal of a site plan might be, I mean, then every site plan would be subject to an
Maybe more
annual.
work for the zoning office than makes sense, you know? If
Right,
If somebody is violating, for example, the hours of operation that we set,
Mhm.
and that gets, word gets to you about that, then you're gonna do something, you're gonna
Right.
issue a cease and desist order, do whatever you have to do to,
Or if somebody has like a gross increase in patio space or something like that, then,
well, if they change the size of the patio.
then it's gonna be pretty
Come
clear,
back.
yeah,
And then they have to come back.
right. Yep.
Because like you said, your administrative, I mean, still a site plan
I
application.
was gonna say, a lot of these, unless it's something really minor, I mean, I'm in the habit of sending most site plans here anyways, regardless if it doesn't need a special or a public hearing. A lot of
Right.
site plans get put in front of the commission anyways.
But the law says, though, you can't do that anymore, right? It's gotta be approved administratively. I don't know.
I don't know about that. I think it's just that we don't need to hold a public hearing anymore. We can just go through our site plan requirements. And not
Right.
that it's a requirement from our site plan, but I believe the zoning administrator can withhold the right to send any application to the commission.
Well, a site plan application.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, site plan application doesn't require a
No.
public hearing.
It does not, and it doesn't require the action to be taken by the commission. But
Right.
I can reserve the right, if I don't, let's say I don't feel comfortable acting on or signing off on a permit, and they want to come to you, or I decide, you know what, I'd rather the commission take a look at this
Yeah.
and make that decision, which a lot of times is what we will do.
Don't you do that the lion's share of the time there's a site plan application?
Exactly, yeah.
Well, I just did it with the matter you considered last week, or 2 weeks ago.
Prindle Hill, Watson, or no longer
No, the
Watson.
grocery store, the addition to the.
Oh, right.
The
Yep.
grocery store. I mean, that was just a site plan application. That didn't need to be
Mhm.
a public hearing.
Right. The way I was kind of always told, where if we feel as though there is going to be significant input or, effect, granted for that application, nobody really showed up, there wasn't significant input.
no.
Erring on the side of caution is what I prefer to do, where, again, as opposed to administratively doing it myself, only being one set of eyes, if it might not require a public hearing, but putting it in front of the commission, still, for some, not all, applications would be a good idea.
All right. You're gonna have to talk to Vinnie on that point. Because what we have now is that any site plan has to be reviewed by the Plan and Zoning Commission. And what I think the law says, the state law says, is it gets decided, or it gets decided administratively. So I'm not sure. If an applicant said to you, I don't want to go to the Plan and Zoning Commission, I want you to decide, could he do that?
I mean, he could, but, you're risking me not giving them a favorable outcome at that point.
That's his risk, but
Right.
I'm saying.
I'm sure they could say that, and
State
say, no,
laws.
I would rather you give me an
I
answer
mean-
right here, right now.
Right.
Yeah, they could, but I'll ask Vinnie. Can the commission,
All right, so you don't need a vote or anything else from us. It's
No,
something
no.
you're gonna work on,
Yep.
and we'll get busy on it.
okay.
All right, anything else on that?
Not on that. An additional new business?
Sure.
Okay.
How come oh, yeah, I was gonna say, how come we don't have new business, but we had that was all new business. Go ahead.
It's all right, you miss a meeting, it takes a while to get the wheels going.
Definitely.
While you were away, and we were reviewing the site plan for the supermarket expansion, I brought up to Jack, and I think I had mentioned it before, but I'd like it to be part of our process, that if we're gonna be reviewing a site plan that has significant truck and tractor trailer movements on
Yeah.
it, that we have, as an element of the site plan review, those traffic movements put on the plan, so that we can see graphically, just like we require to show fire trucks being able to.
Yeah,
move.
especially fire trucks, right?
Especially fire trucks, but
But it all goes to traffic and safety.
it goes to traffic and safety.
Parking and.
Right. So I don't know if that's something that requires a text change or just something you and the engineer tell applicants that needs to be
Yeah.
done.
I mean, there's a section of the regulations that gives all the requirements of a site plan.
Right.
And is there one like catch-all sentence that says, and whatever else the zoning enforcement officer?
Exactly. It's pretty much whatever else that the zoning commission might require in order to make an educated decision.
Yeah.
So we could require it, and I've already had people ask about it and say, and I told them to include that.
Okay, because I only see a need for it where you have to provide a loading dock. Okay, because I'm not really concerned with panel truck movements which can go through a normal parking lot. It's when people have, large tractor trailer deliveries that it becomes useful to know.
Yeah, definitely. All right,
Yeah, we could go either way. We could add it to the required text here, or we could
You can
just make sure I
verbally tell
specifically
them, yeah.
request it every
Yeah.
time.
Yeah, as long as you do it, I don't.
Understood.
all right. Anything else under new business? All right, then, item 4 on our agenda is a report of the zoning enforcement officer.
Sure. First off, the South Central Region Council of Governments reached out and was wondering if we had a representative for the Regional Planning Commission. I'm not sure who used to do it. All I know, Paul used to. I know that I don't think we've had somebody maybe for a little
All
while.
right, so Kevin Cornell will do it. No,
You're retired.
I know.
You just go to another
I know the
meeting.
meetings are, I want to say every second Thursday of every month at 5:15. I'm not sure if anybody would be interested in doing that. I mean,
well,
I used to.
Kaplan's not here tonight.
I'm more than happy to do
But he's
it.
watching, I think.
He teaches though.
It's not something that we have to decide right this
Yeah,
second, but
exactly, what South Central Regional
It's a-
Government.
How
what?
many towns? 9 towns?
it is, I want to say 11. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5,
You meet
6,
down
7,
in New
8, 9,
Haven.
10, 11, 12. Oh, 14 or 15.
Well,
Yep. I don't believe the meetings are very
if
long.
you think local zoning is exciting, you gotta try regional zoning.
Plus, you have to drive to get there.
I will say it's all remote as of right now.
Oh, yeah.
So if that entices it for
Well, why don't we put that on our agenda for some future meeting
Yeah,
next
election.
time?
Understood. Maybe somebody will show up who wants to do it.
See if we can get somebody to,
All right. Also having to do with the Regional Planning Commission is our affordable housing plan that is also a requirement from the state.
Yeah.
We're pretty steadily working through everything with the South Central Regional Council of Governments in their firm that they hired to do everything, which is RKG out of Boston. I had a meeting with their representatives and representatives from Guilford and Milford as well. We had a joint meeting to kind of go over the results of that housing survey that was sent around late last year. It pretty much came back how a lot of us can assume, Orange is fairly deficient in a lot of the housing options and availability that the state requires you to strive for, but I will say we had some healthy conversation between the representatives and, you know, myself, the representative from Guilford and Milford, about how certain towns, it's kind of insurmountable, the odds that we're supposed to strive for here. But they did give us a pretty good breakdown of the numbers from our survey, kind of went over it with all of us, and they're gonna give us a very much condensed data sheet of our numbers that came out. It was kind of a group effort this time, and we all got an idea of where our municipalities stand, but once, I think next week, they said, we get a pretty good, you know, condensed breakdown of our results, so I'll make sure I get that to
All right,
everybody when we
good.
have it. Other than
What's
that,
our time deadline on that?
that is, I believe, May.
Oh,
Yeah, but I mean, they're handling all of it, so
Yeah, so-
everybody I believe everybody other than Bethany, I think, is on board with this, and it's all gonna be essentially submitted at once as a group and as individuals.
For the benefit of, I'm not understanding you. You're telling me that we're gonna be handed Orange's affordable housing plan without having direct input as to what that plan is going to suggest?
Well, no, we're going to be handed our data results from the survey that they distributed late last year.
Okay.
And then from there, they're going to be working with all of us based on those results in our opinions. So at the next meeting that we have, it's going to be just Orange. We're all going to be invited and we're all going to be giving input with the members of RKG and the Regional Planning Commission to form our specific Orange
in
I think
fir-
that-
When is our plan due?
Time out.
in like May, I believe.
May of this year.
Of this year, yep.
I'm understanding the data gathering against the state's definitions that they've crafted for what is and is not affordable. But then the next step is crafting a plan that is supposed to be implemented, correct?
Correct. It's less of a,
Well,
Is it-
like
is
our
it-
plan of conservation and development.
Right.
right, exactly. It's
Adopted.
not a,
But we engaged someone to write that with our input. Did we not?
Well, we did the same thing with our plan of conservation and development.
Right, but that's not the process we're talking about here. He's saying that some firm from Boston, you know, who knows orange from what, is going to be,
well, they haven't
has
finalized
proposing a plan.
anything yet. They've just been data gathering, so they have numbers to include here. I
right?
wish we got a bigger focus group. I think only a little bit less than 100 people took that survey. So they're not going to go by 100 residents and just go give a plan that they make up to the state. The next step after gathering that data is sitting down with all of us in the next month or so and kind of getting our ideas of what we want it to look like, what we expect, how we expect our housing needs to move in the near future. Nothing has been
And-
I think
solidified,
all they're gonna
created.
present us with, Kevin, is goals, not hard.
So
the
again,
how
maybe
or
I'm
the
hung
where.
up on a word, plan. To me, a plan is a document like the plan of conservation and development, which would have as a component of that our goals and their data or whatever. But someone's got to craft, you know, that document.
Well, I don't know the answer to your question. My sense is that somebody's gonna prepare a generic sort of document that we can then comment on and incorporate changes.
June 1st of this year, and every 5 years after, we have to have a plan like this. And it shall specify how the municipality intends to increase the numbers of affordable housing options in town.
I mean, we're not doing this because we want to do it.
No, no,
We're doing this
I
'cause
get it, but so it's for all intents and
We're
purposes,
because we
let's
want
call
it,
it
not
February,
Yeah.
okay? So if we're not currently engaged in looking at language that we're supposed to adopt in the very near future, all right, we're gonna be given like
Yeah,
something at the
generic
11th
plan.
hour. Okay,
No, I'm, you're saying that we wouldn't necessarily be happy with. Right.
yep,
Yeah.
Oh, the thing that jumped out at me in that survey was the age-restricted component. I think that bar was way the hell out.
Yeah, nothing is set in stone yet. They're very much still gonna be sitting down with us individually. Nothing has been done individually yet. You know, it's not like Orange has specifically, sat down and gotten anything together. It's all been done as a group here because everybody's under the same requirements. So they've done what they could with everybody, getting everybody up to
I
speed.
guess we could have hired a consultant
We
ourselves.
could have hired somebody private. I think I sat down and spoke with the attorneys about it, and
But we
they,
talked about that.
we did, yeah,
I mean, we
yeah.
talked
This has
about that
been,
possibility.
but we may want to do that when we get the generic, I mean, I'm envisioning having no actual data, that the generic plan, let's call it, is gonna be written in a format that would be acceptable to the state, as much as anyone can guess, having never done it before.
When you say acceptable to the state, you mean in compliance with the,
Right.
with law? with
Right.
State law.
Right.
Right.
So if we are going to get that, we may want to engage someone to take our thoughts on how that should be tailored to Orange and, make it so, whether it's a Glen person or somebody like that.
Duly noted.
Okay?
Yeah, I mean, we got to go through the process.
right,
And it does seem like time is getting short. I mean, I know it's
Yeah.
just early January, but I
Right.
mean, it's going to be hard to get this all put together, it seems to me, by May, but.
yeah, June 1st.
And it depends like how broad or how specific, if the goal is how we intend to increase affordable housing options in town,
I mean, a lot
how
of,
specifically do we have to answer
a
that?
lot of this stuff is already outlined in our POCD. A lot of their questions of where in town would we like to see this development, it's outlined in the POCD.
Right.
So a lot of these questions, I think, are already answered. But again, they have to go through the new process of doing this. We're gonna have to do it every 5 years.
I don't think there's anything we can do right now, is there? I mean, I think we need to wait and see
No, yeah,
what we get.
Right.
and then like I said, they are gonna be sitting down with us prior to anything officially submitted or anything like that.
Yeah.
We're still kind of, in the earlier stages, even though it is, like you said, coming up.
All right.
What seems fast, but,
All right. Anything else, Jack?
no, that's all I have for you.
All right, then we're ready to take our public hearing. One item. Special permit application submitted by Vanessa Santiago. This is for property known as 501 Boston Post Road. And the request is to install a food takeout establishment in the C2 district under section 383-50F of the Orange zoning regulations. And this is continued from our last meeting on January 4th. Good evening.
Good evening.
Could you please introduce yourself?
Yes, my name is Vanessa Santiago. I'm the owner of Sweetness Bites. Sweetness Bites is a dessert shop. We offer ice cream, bubble waffle cone, mini Dutch pancakes, milkshakes, with tons of toppings. And I'm here to seek for a special permit for takeout.
Did you speak at the last meeting?
Yes, I did.
Okay, because I
Alex.
wasn't here, I just. All right.
And since you weren't here after Ms. Santiago's presentation,
Yeah.
basically, we wound up in a bit of a conundrum because when you look at section E under this 383-42 special uses, para E, about food takeout services.
What, you said 383-50?
Maybe,
Yes.
oh,
Yeah,
yes,
he's
I'm sorry, yep.
50E, right?
Yeah.
50.
I think it was actually F, wasn't it, Kevin?
Her application is F, 50F.
What's this one? Food takeout service is a special use.
I mean, I think subsection E, indoor restaurants, and this is under special uses, right? Go ahead.
Maybe
what
I'm
was your-
looking.
what was your
I'm
question?
looking at Jack's handout.
Oh, that one was for the outdoor dining.
Yes, I understand, but under the special uses, it also talks about a food takeout service.
Yes. That,
So it
that's
occurs in more than
LS
one place?
It does, yeah.
Okay, so-
LSC in our commercial districts.
Okay, so generically, what we found is that the special use, the language trying to regulate the activity considered by the special use of food takeout service was not written particularly well.
What section are you talking about?
Well, so I will look in two places because it's, I'm looking, if she's coming
Yeah.
in under E,
Right.
She's under F,
under
Kevin.
F.
50F.
Where it's in,
yeah, okay, but it also occurs in 383, 42E, the exact same language. So wherever it's coming in under, we'll look at the language specifically that she's coming under,
Well,
but,
the application
yes,
is one under 383-50F,
okay,
and she seeks a special permit
yes.
under that section.
And the problem is that it wasn't, historically, according to Jack, the zoning enforcement officer looked at the language and said, okay, this means we can do a takeout business subject to a special use permit. But when we looked at the language didn't really seem to support that because of a lot of limitations written in here about incidental to and incidental to the primary use.
Right.
And not include, and this and that. So it appears to me that what we should be doing is look at what is the activity we're seeking to regulate. And I think the idea that food takeout service should be subject to a special use permit is valid because we might have traffic concerns or queuing of people who are, it's like a takeout window
Yeah.
at a drive-through restaurant. So I think what we need to do is just clean up this language, do a text change. We can do it in the same time frame as the other text amendment we're looking at. And it could be as simple as, instead of it saying a food takeout service, then strike out incidental to primary use, and just go, a food takeout service where customers are served primarily at food takeout counters. And if that exists under the special use, the need for a special use permit, it would clearly apply to the
Yeah.
young lady, and we could apply our standards
I
to it.
think that would solve the problem, but I'm
Yeah.
not, what concerns me is that there's a reason, I don't know exactly what that reason is,
Well,
but there's
what-
a reason why it's written
Okay.
that way.
Well, I could not think about what that could be,
Well, let's say,
because why do we care whether someone's eating in the restaurant or leaving unless it's a traffic concern or a parking concern?
well, what if the applicant's landlord
Yeah,
has an abundance of parking,
correct.
and he decides that he's going to lease space in his parking lot for a food truck? Let's say he's gonna sell donuts, and he pulls into the parking lot every morning with his load of donuts and sells them out of the parking lot.
You're right.
and leaves, comes back the next day. Is that, under the language you just suggested,
Is a special use permit, and
but do we
but
want,
it's
do we
within
want to
the,
open the door to that type of
But
use?
I believe we have other language that prohibits
Yeah.
vending without a
Do we?
brick and mortar. We do, yeah.
and these are uses within a structure.
Yeah,
You know, this is falling under, these are the permitted uses within the structure of the retail establishment.
it doesn't say that, though.
But that's what where it comes under.
I don't recall where, but I think there is language somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
Well, if it's a,
Pertains
To vending,
Is there?
to being within a permanent structure. Make sure it's not-
yeah, I mean, it's a special uses, I mean, it just, it would seem to me that we want it to be a special use because we want to see if there are any special considerations to be given that are generated by the specific activity.
Right, but do we want standalone food takeout service at all?
Okay, but by standalone, do you mean that's the primary use of in the building?
Let's say the only use.
So why would we care if Guy Fieri wanted to open up a pop-up restaurant and use Grubhub to deliver
But it,
their stuff if there's enough parking and it doesn't generate a traffic concern?
and there's no seating, it should, I don't know, I mean, again, I don't know that you may be right, it's something that we could consider.
Well, if we do a text change, we'd have to consider it.
Well, I mean, we're not gonna do a text change.
Not
Right,
tonight, no,
yeah,
no,
yeah.
no. But I'm saying that,
See,
go ahead.
no, I just, I feel like that language in F, to me is clear.
That she can't do it.
That she can't do it, right.
Right, but why do we, why?
Well,
why
I mean,
is-
we have to deal with the application we have tonight. If we decide down the road we want to rewrite the reg, that's great, but we have the conundrum tonight. And that,
Let me cut to the chase. How does everybody feel about this just being a use that we can consider a permitted use under 49A?
stores and other buildings and structures where goods are sold or service is rendered primarily at retail.
I mean,
it fits that.
to me, what the applicant is looking to do tonight, having brought this application under 50F, I don't see how we could approve it. Because, again, that language is clear to me. But what I'm suggesting is denying the special use application and approving it or suggesting to the zoning enforcement officer that he approve administratively the applied for permitted use under 49, under 383-49-1. I don't know.
I'm,
I'm not looking to make it difficult for anybody.
no,
but-
no,
but-
no, 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 and I'm not either, because I want to encourage the investment in her business, and I like your idea for taking care of her, the applicant, but I think we should clean up this language to deal with the next time it happens.
Well, I think the way it has always been dealt with, the applicant came in and they wanted to do something that was primarily takeout. What Paul suggested to them was put a couple of tables into place
And have a public bathroom.
and have a bathroom. And I don't care how much, when nobody's gonna watch, be looking over your shoulder,
See if the seats are ever used.
Yeah, and to see whether it's 90%
Yeah.
or 70% or 60% of your business takeout. And that's the way.
It would be permitted as of right.
But there's something, and I can't put my finger on it yet, I haven't really studied it. But in reading these sections, I sense a bias against against strictly food takeout. And I don't know why that is, and that's why I'm hesitant to.
I
commit.
think historically, because when I ran into this, when I developed some shopping centers where local restaurant establishment used the zoning boards to prevent competition. And so they would write out things like this, to prohibit a bagel shop from operating in a strip store because they didn't have any seating. And so they didn't fall within, it was an anti-competitive thing when I've run into it before. But it just seems to me that takeout per se these days in the post-COVID world, is, with the DoorDashes and the Grubhubs of the world, that it's going to be happening more, not less. And that as long as you can have parking and aren't creating a traffic problem, you're keeping rateable, retail occupied.
Well, I don't disagree. I think it merits to look at the regulations generally, and I don't want to do something and shoot ourselves in the foot.
No.
Later on, so. And I'm concerned about approving this
Under that.
as applied for because
Right.
of the precedent it sets.
Okay, but she could change her, what she's applying for because the zoning enforcement officer realized, in her particular case, it fits under this.
Well, she'd
So,
have to
no,
withdraw
there's an
this
application,
application
there's
and
an
then
application
reapply.
pending.
Okay,
And there's
We
a
need an
time
action.
limit. I don't know when the time limit is for us to close the public hearing and make a decision on it. That may be tonight. I don't know.
No, we would have time for,
so if,
But to me, just as,
go ahead, please.
I don't know, can we leave the public hearing open? But still.
No.
We have this application, we have to do something with it.
Yes.
Right. I
So-
mean, if we read the application and apply the regulations and we say it doesn't fit because takeout has to be tied to the primary restaurant use. That's pretty much what it says.
Yeah, and not pretty much.
That's what it says. So in that case, unfortunately, this application has to be denied.
Yes.
But because we want to encourage business and we think there's another regulation under which she can apply and have the use by right, that would be our recommendation to her. She could either withdraw this one, or we could deny this one, and then she would reapply under the other, under the retail use, and she's permitted.
My
And you
suggestion-
could do that administratively.
Right.
She wouldn't even have to come back
Right.
to visit us.
Because we already know what the applicant's plans are.
Yeah.
Right, and we
submitted
know
a
the
floor plan.
hardship of getting a public bathroom, we covered all that last time, so
Yeah.
really. And we
So I
talked
don't know
about
if
putting
you-
shelves up and sell some things retail.
I mean, sometimes there's, like we just did the swim,
swim, yep.
right? And that was clearly, in my opinion anyway, permitted use, permitted as of right. But it was something that you felt you wanted the commission, it was different. And you wanted the commission's input on it. So you may feel that way about this one, if the applicant reapplies for a special use permit,
Or
for a permit
As of
as a
right.
permitted use. It's
Yep.
up to you.
No, I am completely on board.
Okay.
I really am.
So is it
And then we can take a look at
the
the
regulation?
regulations and
Yeah.
see what we want to do.
That's
If there-
fine.
If there's some, Vinny, I think, pointed out that there was some, some repetition in a couple of sections. They said the same thing, or
Right.
almost said the same thing. Maybe
So,
we need to take a closer look at that and tweak it a bit so that, when the next applicant comes in, it's clearer what the
Right.
rules are.
I think he mainly was focused on 38350E and 50F. Which I know we were tonight in
Hard
last
pressed to
meeting.
try to find a
yeah,
difference.
Trying to find a difference and really I know we just spent 10 minutes talking about it, but the intent of these regulations.
All right.
Right. All right, is it better for an applicant to withdraw? Or is there any prejudice involved if it's denied? Of done, you know, sometimes if you deny a site plan, it has to come back with some significant change to it.
No.
No?
There's no,
It'd be up
No,
to
that's
it'd be up to
for,
the applicant.
Zone change or
Okay.
a text amendment.
I think it makes it simpler. And again, what I'm
Right.
concerned about is setting a precedent, so I would want it in the record that, you know, the proposed interpretation of that regulation, we disagreed with it.
Okay.
That's just the way I feel. I suppose it could be withdrawn, you know, but then the question later on, somewhere down the road, is why was it withdrawn? It was not for the reason,
I think the
we-
safest bet is to make a decision on it and
Think
then,
about,
then we don't have to worry about deadlines that we're bumping up
Okay.
against.
yeah.
Is there anything else you want to add? This is a very interesting discussion. Right? You just want to make milkshakes.
Yes, pretty much.
Call Jack tomorrow, you can make milkshakes.
All right, so you have nothing
There you go.
further? Okay. Well, the next thing we do, do you think we need any more information to make a decision on this application? We don't have any input from department heads that is outstanding or any
No,
issues?
no public input, anything?
I see there couldn't possibly be any public input unless they're hiding under the chairs.
I'd like to make a motion to close the public hearing.
Okay.
second.
All right, we have a motion to close the public hearing. It's been seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right, thank you.
Thank you. Have a good night.
Thanks.
You too.
All right, so I mean, I think did we beat this horse to death?
A little bit.
Or do you want to do it,
Close.
or do you
We're
want to do it
close.
some more? It's up to you.
I personally don't.
So you're looking for a motion?
Well, I think, yeah, I mean, I'm looking for a motion to deny the application on the grounds that the language of 50F doesn't allow the special use requested. It doesn't
just
allow
takeout.
the
For an
use.
exclusive takeout.
Exclusive
Yeah.
takeout, no seating.
Right, with the suggestion that the applicant come back with she left, maybe should have stuck around for a few
Oh,
minutes.
I can get a hold of her.
I
But,
think she got the message.
yeah, I would hope so. She can come in with another application, or whatever you do when,
She wouldn't even need to apply. It's a permitted use as of right,
okay.
but we suggest that.
Do we want to see this application again, or are we satisfied that Jack can handle it from here? Okay. All right, then, somebody prepared to make a motion?
I'll make a motion that we deny the special permit application submitted by Vanessa Santiago for property known as 501 Boston Post Road to install a food takeout establishment in the C2 district under section 383-50 subsection F because it does not comply with the regulation, because it is exclusively a takeout and that reg requires there to be some indoor dining.
Very, very good. Okay, do we have a second to that motion?
Second.
All right, we have a motion to deny the application. It's been seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right, it's unanimous, 4-0. And that concludes our agenda. Now, we don't have Paul with us, so I'm gonna sit here for a couple of weeks.
Let me see if he can text me.
Somebody prepared
Oh,
to
yeah,
move that we,
he made a motion to adjourn the meeting.
all right, is that your motion or is that Kaplan's motion?
I'm channeling Kaplan's
All
motion.
right. Do we have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, thank you very much.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.